Hi everyone, welcome to Sun01 video presentation of interaction design. As we were tasked to present about theories of interaction design, we felt that it will be more interesting to use an interactive approach. Hence, you will find that we have added simple questions and answers within this video, made possible by the labs we took on Flash. Enjoy! So what is interaction design? Interaction design is the practice of designing interactive digital products, environments, systems, and services for people. Interaction design is not only designing the behavior of the interface, but rather designing for the behavior of people. Today, we will be focusing on these 5 key principles of interaction design: consistency, visibility, learnability, predictability, and feedback. Consistency is a crucial element in interaction design. Oftentimes, consistency in design usually goes unnoticed. We only really notice when things differ or fail. Changes in behavior and appearance can attract unwanted attention. When things don't look the same or when things don't behave the same, people will pay attention to the difference. It's all in the details. So, there are 2 key areas that we look at for consistency: appearance and behavior. Appearance constitutes such elements as colors, iconography, typography, shape, alignment, and sense of proportion. With regard to behavior, there is transitions after an interaction, whether an interface reacts similarly after interaction, and also if a button works similarly upon clicking on multiple pages. So, to illustrate our point further, here's an exercise for you to practice. Look at the figures in front of you and select the figure which you feel has the most consistent design. Awesome! If you chose the left figure, you got it right. Here's why. On the right figure, the designer included 2 Facebook buttons, and immediately the user will be confused on which button to click. Also, if you look at the navigation bar, he has added an additional element that has overflowed to the next column. Let's move on to the next principle, visibility. We want our user to be able to perceive interactive elements immediately. It is hard to invite interaction and engage visitors with your design if they are not aware that the opportunity to interact exists. For example, hidden interactions decrease usability and efficiency. Also, do not make your visitors and customers search for interactions when they need to complete their tasks. Discoverability should not involve luck or chance. For example, rollovers or mouseovers work best when people realize that they are present or assume they are available. It is also good to signal the availability of interaction with visual indications that invite people to click or touch. Such actions are intuitive and people are click happy. They will attempt to interact with anything that could be clickable or touchable. To help facilitate this, easy signs, different text color and decorations, 3D and depth cues, icons, and even textures invites interaction. These are some examples of visibility. Buttons with shadows will help users to understand that it is a button that can be clicked. Similar and universal icons and images can be used that users will understand from familiarity and access to various systems online. Textures located in scroll bars with the grid function and movable arrows tells users that it can be scrolled or dragged around. Different and or universal text styles such as blue and underlined text tells us that it is a hyperlink that can be clicked. Now we have come to our next exercise. Looking at these 2 figures, which design do you think applies the visibility principle? If you chose the right figure, that's right. The figure on the right has more visibility whereas the figure on the left overwhelms the user and confuses him or her on which direction is on or off. We will talk on our third principle, learnability. It's a simple concept. It is how users see people, mimic, and learn like a baby. Here, interactions should be easy to learn and easy to remember. Ideally, users use it once, learn it, and remember it forever. But in our practical world, we use it for a few times, learn it, and hope to remember it for the next visit or use. To help us, learning theories from psychology allows us to understand how people acquire and retain knowledge and skills. For example, operant conditioning comes into play when users get a reward or positive feedback. This increases the possibility that people will engage in that behavior again. Likewise, getting a punishment or error decreases that possibility. Secondly, observational learning is when user sees someone demonstrate or imitate what they have seen. We do that effectively all the time, like video tutorials. Learnability is also often equated with ease of use, but sometimes even interfaces that are easy to use may require learning. The more we use an interface, the easier it becomes. Practice then leads to habit, and extensive practice leads to automaticity. By intuition, it really means single trial learning. People learn behaviors from experiences across the web and devices, and even from real world places and objects. We take our experiences with us and attempt to apply them in similar situations. For example, pushing a button in real world. With perceived affordances, they are represented metaphorically or analogously in digital form. Hence, it is useful to take advantage of what people already know. This is the learning curve. We want to move users down the learning curve so they become experts in what they do quickly. There will be fewer errors and less time is required to do the same task, and productivity increases. And now we have reached our third exercise. Which figure do you think below portrays learnability in interaction design? That's right! The checkout button on the left is not clear, unlike the one on the right. It will be difficult for the user to learn that style of checkout unlike the usual one. The fourth principle of interaction design is predictability. In order to optimize human-computer interaction and minimize the mistakes and random guessing, the user must be able to predict the outcome of his actions before performing it. Hence, visitor behavior can reveal whether or not they are able to accurately predict what will happen. For example, when users don't know what will happen, they will try attempting anything that can be clicked. If users know what they can do and predict what will happen, they will only interact with the necessary things to complete their tasks. In order to have predictability in interaction design, you can use previews to set expectations and define constraints for new or complex interactions. For instance, you can show what is the end outcome while the interface loads. Predictability can also be set by using labels, instructions, icons, and images. All the above can be used to set expectations about what to do, what will happen, where the visitor will go, and how the interface will respond. And now we have come to our second last exercise for this video. Which example do you think shows the predictability principle that we just covered? That's right! The one on the right has labels that are meaningful and uses active verbs. Hence, the user will be able to easily predict the outcome. The last principle of interaction design is feedback. There are various forms of feedback such as location, status, progress, future events, possibilities, or even completion. Feedback should complement the experience, not complicate users' actions. Feedback should also allow the undo feature to reverse choices and allow the user to correct mistakes. Mistakes are incorrect choices, but they do not always result in errors. Undo can be used to revert to prior states to recover from a mistake or from an error that may not be understood. In order to optimize human-computer interaction, products should provide a noticeable and understandable feedback after interactions. We should always acknowledge interactions, let people know they have been heard, felt, or seen. Failing to acknowledge an interaction can also lead to unnecessary repetition of actions and possibly errors or mistakes. And finally, we have come to our last exercise. Based on the two figures below, can you tell us which example shows a feedback in interaction design based on what you have just learned? I'm sure we got you there. Actually, both the figures illustrate the feedback principle. However, the most appropriate one is on the right, as the left example overwhelms the user by showing inline text messaging and a pop-up window. Principles of interaction design form an interconnected system which is shown below. Here, we are using a website as an example. If an interface element is clearly visible to a user and he or she is able to predict the outcome of interacting with it, the user is much more likely to make a meaningful interaction. If the interaction provides some sort of feedback, the user will begin to understand and, more importantly, learn the function of the element. And if the same element is consistently used on other pages of the website example, then the user will be able to transfer that knowledge to make further meaningful interactions. And we have finally reached our last slide. We hope you like our interactive video and got all 5 questions correct. We will now leave you with this quote that we felt was really meaningful for an interactive designer. You are not designing for yourself. Thank you for your attention and have a nice day.